Today, we're diving into a movement that's all about making our work lives better. It's inspired by the book Corporate Rebels, and it's a fascinating look at how some of the most innovative companies are ditching old-school rules to make work, well, actually enjoyable.
And this quote right here, it just hits you, doesn't it? Work isn't some separate thing we do. For most of us, it's a massive part of our life. So it really makes you wonder, are we spending all that time on something that actually feels worthwhile?
Well, for most people, the answer is a big, fat no. Just look at this number. The book points out that only a third of employees feel like they're even using their main talents at work. Think about that. That's a staggering amount of human potential just sitting on the shelf. It's no wonder so many people feel checked out.
So these two guys, Joost and Pim, they got so tired of this reality that they did something pretty radical. They quit their own corporate jobs and went on a mission. They basically made a bucket list of the world's coolest, most forward-thinking companies and just went out to learn all their secrets. They're going to be our guides for this whole thing.
Okay, so what was the first big secret they uncovered? It all comes down to a fundamental shift in mindset. The most inspiring places to work don't start by asking what they do, they start by asking why they do it. It's all about putting a real, meaningful purpose way ahead of just making a profit.
And you can really see the difference here. The old way is obsessed with the bottom line, with bosses telling everyone what to do. The rebel way, though, is driven by a shared purpose, by values everyone believes in. And leaders, their job isn't to command, it's to support their teams.
You want to see this in action? There's probably no better example of a purpose-driven company than Patagonia. They've built their entire brand, their whole identity around a mission that is so much bigger than just selling jackets.
At Patagonia, their purpose isn't just some marketing slogan. It's baked into everything they do. That famous "Let my people go surfing" policy, the incredible family support, it all comes from that core mission. And what they prove is that when you put your people and your purpose first, the profits tend to follow.
All right, so having a powerful purpose is awesome, but you need a company structure that can actually support it. And that means getting rid of all that rigid, top-down control and building a framework that's based on freedom and being able to move fast.
Here's where you see the old corporate pyramid get completely flipped on its head. Instead of a rigid hierarchy, you get a dynamic network of teams. And instead of endless rules and trying to predict the future, the whole game becomes about freedom, trust, and constantly trying new things. Now, for a truly mind-blowing example of this, we have to talk about Haier. Their CEO took a failing refrigerator factory in China and turned it into the biggest appliance maker on the planet. And how'd he do it? By taking a sledgehammer, literally, to the old way of doing things. He completely demolished the traditional corporate hierarchy. He broke the entire company into hundreds of tiny, self-organizing teams. Think of them like little startups within the bigger company. Each one was responsible for its own success, its own customers, its own innovations. The message was clear. You are the CEO of your own little business. That kind of ownership is just incredibly powerful.
And hey, if you're thinking, sure, that works for a manufacturer, get this, it even works for a government bureaucracy. At the Belgian Ministry of Social Security, they swapped out all the strict rules and micromanagement for a culture of freedom and trust. And the result? Productivity shot up by 18%. And suddenly, it was one of the best places to work in the country.
So how do you actually get this kind of agility? The rebels laid out 5 key things. It really starts with a culture of nonstop experimentation, where it's okay to fail as long as you learn something. You ditch the rigid annual budgets, and most importantly, you create a space where the best ideas can come from anyone, anywhere, especially the people on the front lines.
So you've got your purpose, you've got your agile framework. What's the last piece of the puzzle? It's the fuel that keeps this whole engine running, creating a culture that unlocks the true potential of every single person in the organization.
And again, the difference is like night and day. The old way is all about secrecy, hoarding information, and stuffing people into these rigid little boxes we call job descriptions. The rebel way, it's about being radically transparent and focusing on helping people grow their unique talents and become masters of their craft.
Let's talk about a company called Semco in Brazil. Their leader, Ricardo Simler, became a legend for his absolute commitment to openness. His logic was simple. You can't expect people to be responsible if you don't give them the information they need to make responsible decisions.
And he meant it. I mean, at Semco, everybody from the janitor to the top execs could see the company's financials. They even gave people financial training so they could actually understand the numbers. And get this, managers were graded by their own teams. Now that builds trust and accountability.
Now, for the talent side, check this out. Buurtzorg, a healthcare organization in the Netherlands, they have 15,000 nurses and pretty much zero managers. Sounds impossible, right? They operate in a network of over 1,000 small, self-managing teams. Each team of about 12 nurses handles everything themselves. Patient care, scheduling, hiring, you name it. Roles aren't based on a job title. They're based on who's good at what and who wants to do it. It's a whole system built on one radical idea. Trust the professionals to be professionals.
So after hearing about all these incredible companies, you're probably asking the big question, okay, this is cool, but what about me? How can I actually use any of this in my job?
And look, it can definitely feel a little overwhelming, but the corporate rebels are super clear about this. You do not have to be the CEO to start a revolution. Change can start absolutely anywhere. The trick is to follow these basic ideas. Don't try to force some massive change from the top down. Inspire people with a better vision. Start with one small experiment and see what happens. And remember, every company is different. What works for Patagonia might not work for you. It's all about finding what fits.
I love this because it takes all the pressure off. You don't have to do this alone. The key is to find the other people at your work who feel the same way you do. Team up and just start making small changes right where you are.
So I'll leave you with this question. Forget about changing the whole company overnight. What is one small, tiny act of rebellion you could start tomorrow with your team just to make work a tiny bit more fun, a little more free, or a little more meaningful?